My grandfather Ioseb Djugashvili, also known as Stalin. I am his only legitimate grandchild and sole beneficiary of his Russian estate, apart from some cash collected by my auntie Svetlana Djugashvili before she died, within a year of her father. Ioseb became a quadriplegic in August 1939, before World War II was officially declared on the 1st of September 1939. Ioseb was the result of a teenage romance between a native Gippsland man called Besaronis Djugashvili and Tsarina Alexandra Feodorova the Romanov, the most recent monarch of Russia. When he was conceived, they were both 17. When he was born, his mother Alexandra was still 17. Because of the circumstances of the pregnancy and Alexandra's age, he was ineligible to become the equivalent of a prince in the Romanov Royal family of Russia, but was a legitimate Romanov child. He was therefore registered at birth with his father Besaronis' surname, Djugashvili, an indigenous Australian name from what is now called Gippsland. He was given the name Ioseb, which was an indigenous Gippsland word usually associated with a kangaroo joey, or offspring. He later matured that up to Joseph when exploring using a pseudonym as a bit of an amusing joke. He had blue steel, molten steel, and weathered steel eyes, which led to him getting the nickname Stalin, a word that meant steel in Russian. His father Besaronis had a bizarre background fame in his life, as he was the son of the first Australian human ever deliberately photographed. A casual image that took over 7 minutes to expose in 1840. It featured a council worker called Besaronis Djugashvili replacing eucalyptus saplings on the nature strips in the old 1.2 million plus population city of Yarragon in what is now Gippsland, which was completely destroyed by arson in early 1858. Besaronis' father was replacing saplings for the autumn-winter-spring growing season. He was asked to pose for the photograph. Besaronis was often introduced as the son of the first person ever photographed in what is now Australia when traveling to foreign countries. Locals had already been traveling to foreign continents in massive numbers for thousands of years. Even though Ioseb was not eligible to become a Royal Romanov, he was still raised by his mother Tsarina Alexandra as her firstborn child, with his father Besaronis' surname. Besaronis was Alexandra's only long-term sexual partner from teenage age until she eventually agreed to marry Nicholas Hohenzollern II. My great-grandmother Tsarina Alexandra met Nicholas II when he was in a sexual relationship with her nephew Grigory Rasputin. Some saw it as an unusual way to meet her future husband. Nothing to get uptight about, though. My grandfather Ioseb, Stalin, was Rasputin's cousin. I have very gold eyes, very similar to Grigory. My Hohenzollern royal family were guests at their Royal Romanov wedding, as guests of the groom Nicholas II. Tsarina Alexandra was seemingly a one-woman royal family at the time. She was on her own. My Royal Hohenzollern family was as helpful as possible for the lead-in to the ceremony, during it, and for an extended period afterwards. Hohenzollern royals attended the ceremony, despite the obvious security risk. Then she had 6 eligible children and was alone no more. My grandfather Ioseb, Stalin, was raised by his biological parents until it became too much of a security risk for him and the Russian royal family. He was sent to boarding school in Georgia and was funded the best education his mother could provide for him. Given some free-range for life experiences, he explored his bisexuality and was in several short relationships with other men in his early adult years. He studied the usual set, as they call it in Russia. Politics, philosophy, literature, demographics, etc. He was seen as perfect for politics later in life. Besaronis Djugashvili and Alexandra were still friends after they split up as a sexual couple. Ioseb's mother, my great-grandmother, Tsarina Alexandra, the monarch of Russia, her husband Nicholas Hohenzollern II, and the 6 eligible children they had together, my grandaunties Anastasia, Maria, Tatiana, and Olga, and my granduncles Alexei and Ivanovich, were abducted, tortured, and murdered by a terrorism group associated with Albert Einstein during World War I. All documented with photographs and silent film footage. The Romanov royal family of my great-grandmother Tsarina Alexandra was abducted after they had completed a lengthy photography shoot during the second half of 1916. The reasoning behind the lengthy sessions was to get every publicity photo required for an entire year done, to avoid repeated security risks. Photography sessions were much stranger and much more nerve-wracking than now. People had to try to sit still for minutes at a time to get clear exposed photos. It was arduous and could be very frustrating. They attended for the official photograph sessions with the Turkish photography crew. With clothing and non-authentic props, which may have had a festive season theme in a lot of cases. The entire photography shoot was completed in just under a week. After it was over, they were abducted by the photography crew and their cohorts. A strange, twitchy, Japanese man and crew had started filming the Romanov royals with film cameras during the shoot, with no audio available. It was all silent film camera recordings. He kept on filming, with multiple cameras, using a large crew, when it became clear to the royals they were not being taken home from the photography sessions and something was seriously wrong with the situation. My Romanov family royals were taken to what was then Czechoslovakia and the photographed and filmed being tortured to death there, at a secret location. The crazy Japanese man coordinated all the 8 victims being filmed the whole time, as often as he could get footage filmed, through their entire ordeal, including some footage of remains being disposed of. By the end of World War I, people were impersonating the developed silent film footage of the Romanov royals' abduction and murder ordeal all over Europe. It then spread globally slowly after WW1 ended, reaching new levels during and after WW2. It turned into a terrorism and organized crime routine. People would make demands, impersonate the victims realizing they weren't being taken home, then impersonate their torture, pretending they would stop if they got what they wanted from the target, or go around and back to the start. Then lunatics decided to guess what the victims being tortured sounded like, and would make noises claiming to do an impersonation of their distress, guessing what they said in Russian during the films. In modern technology times, lip-reading software was developed to try to determine what each victim said in Russian during their ordeal that was in the silent films. A supercomputer was used to process the silent film footage and reference it against as much footage and audio of people speaking Russian as they could feed it beforehand for lip-reading analysis, and they started using lip-reading predictive text software to add subtitles to the silent torture footage with what the software estimated the victim was saying on the screen. It didn't work very well, still doesn't. Modern searches for information about my Romanov family royals always incessantly result in the same group photographs appearing, taken during that extended photo session in 1916, before their abduction. Usually with Prince Ivanovich erased from the images, or changed to appear female with a sibling missing from the image. One particular piece of silent film is incessantly impersonated by deranged types the world over, and has been for over a century. They always seem to be impersonating the Tsarina becoming terrified, wobble their heads up and down, and saying the words, Albert Einstein. In a lot of cases, it is a man in drag for that one. Crazies who are remnants of the old Czechoslovakia are incessant about it. Some claiming the perpetrators of the crimes were promised an illegal cut of any Romanov assets stolen by impostors after the abduction. As if they are owed it now. Add to that the fact that 7 of those impostors, executed in 1917, were part Tasmanian, citizens of Greece, with the surname Anastasopoulos, and they were all related to the North American Rewald family, including the man who ran the jail. Kaiser Adolf Hitler the Hohenzollern was held prisoner of war in between December 1943 and late 1959, and it has always been an ugly situation. An ugly situation that escalated during WW II when Kaiser Adolf was abducted.